Hi everyone, welcome back to Workshop. In my last video we made good an HP3457A, got it up and running. We're going to go back and visit that multimeter today. I'm going to make a modification to it. Let's take a look. So the problem here is the backlighting, or lack of. You know, everything else on the workbench, all the other multimeters, they all light up like a Christmas tree and they're really easy to read. And it might not appear on camera here, but certainly in real life it's just a dim and dark display on the 3457A. So I'm actually going to do something about it. I know a few people over the years have played around with backlighting and to varying degrees of results there. One person in particular has actually gone ahead and re-engineered the whole display, reverse engineered the display protocol and replaced it with something else. That's a big job. I'm not going to go that far, so I'm actually going to play around with the existing display and add some of my own backlighting to it. So let's take a look. So the idea I have is to take apart the existing LCD and actually be a bit destructive with it, to modify it in such a way that I can add my own backlighting, become a bit clearer as we go along. But to kick things off, I obviously wasn't going to do on this particular LCD fitted to my meter. I actually went ahead and bought a front panel that I found on eBay just by luck. I don't know how often these things come up, but I found this on eBay, obviously second hand, you know, listed in eBay in America actually. So I gave the guy that owned it you know, an offer, and it was way under what he was asking, but he accepted, so off we go. So obviously I don't need the whole thing. It's a little bit tatty. It's, you know, there's been chunks out of the buttons and stuff like that, but importantly the LCD's in place, as was the ribbon cable and all the rest of it. So we're actually going to go ahead and modify this LCD, and then I'll fit it to the meter. So I've already taken off the screws that hold it in, so let's take it apart and let's see what we've got. HP, really nice design here. It's rather modular and it's very easy to take apart. There's no desoldering as such or anything like that. The display connector here, although it looked like it was soldered in, it's almost like some spring pins there that hold it all together, and it's just a case of prising it off and it just unplugs and you're left with the holes in the PCB there. So that was very easy to take apart. So let's push this to one side just now, and here is the LCD. So what you've got here is the glass itself sandwiched with the PCB at the back there, and there'll obviously be some zebra strips connecting the two together, and then sandwiched in the middle is the actual bracket, the plastic bracket that runs the full length of the display there, and allows it to be mounted to the back of the front panel. So let me just take off the plastic clips here. They just pull off, and you can see the zebra strips in place there. You can see them sandwiched between the PCB and the glass. So I'll just lay that down there and I'll just lift off, there we go, lift off the zebra strips, and they should just pull off like that there, and you can see the plastic bracket there, and then the corresponding terminals on the PCB there that's sandwiched with the zebra strips, and then you're down to the glass. So the technology that's used on the 3457A, which actually makes it quite hard to add backlighting, is the fact that it's a reflective backlighting, which means that the reflective strip that's added to the back, is glued to the back of the glass here, is necessary so that light coming in will be reflected off of the back of the glass and then back out again, and obviously into our eyes so that we can see it. And the problem with that is that it's not transparent. You can't add a backlighting strip to the back and expect it to shine through this silver backing on here. It's reflective. there is another technology called transmissive and transflective, and they allow for a backlighting module, an LED, whatever, on the back here to shine through the glass and therefore illuminate it up. So what I'm actually going to do is, on this glass here, I'm actually going to peel off this. I'm going to heat this up slightly and peel off this reflective coating here, this reflective foil, and by that time it'll be junk. Chuck it away, clean up the glass, and then I'm going to add my own backing onto the back of it, or a transflective backing onto the back of it. Now obviously if that doesn't work, I've just junked this display, but it's my spare one, as I said, the one I bought off of eBay, so I'm not harming the original one on the meter itself. So let's take a look at what I'm going to put on the back. So first things first, I need to find an LED strip that's going to fit onto the back of the LCD, and it just so happens I've got these bits and pieces out my LCD junk bin. I've taken one of these apart. This is like I think this is a 2x40 character alphanumeric display here, backlit one. So and I do have a couple here, so there's a couple of LED strips here that I could use, and luckily enough they're just about the right width there, that'll just go right onto the back of the LCD rather nicely there. A little bit long, but I think I can cut that down. So I've actually got a couple of these. The one at the top here is actually got LEDs, it's red lit, LEDs at both ends there, so when I chop this down, this real one's not going to be much good because I'll lose one of the LEDs. So this one here, on the other hand, has got 3 LEDs at one end and none at the other end, so I think this one's a prime candidate. I can cut this one down to the right length and it'll just fit the back of the LCD here rather nicely. Now there's another problem, and that is polarization. Let me set up a wee experiment here just to show you what I mean. So I've got another LCD here, just another one out the junk bin. I've actually gone ahead and peeled the back off of it already. This was actually a transflective LCD, meaning that this sheet here is actually will transmit light through it. It's meant for backlighting, and I've actually peeled it off of the back of the LCD. As you can see, and now obviously you're left with a bit of glass, and you've got the backing. Now let's take a look at it. Watch this. If I take the LCD and offer up the coating back onto the back of it, you'll see, I hope you can pick that up on camera, but it kind of darkens the LCD there. But if I turn it through 90 degrees, look at the color change. That's polarization in action there. Thing, I'm going to remove the silver backing, reflective backing from the back of the LCD. Okay, it comes off pretty easily really, and that reveals the glass. Doesn't even need much of a clean up, just a wee wipe down I think should clean that up. So the next thing to do is to size the LED strip there. So I'm going to actually partially assemble this here. I've got the glass down on the workbench, put the zebra strips in place, lay down the LED strip roughly, bring in the plastic mounting, which will sit about there, and of course the PCB will sit on top of that, which will be right there, and just on top of the zebra strips here. But you can see that just about here is where I need to cut it. So I'm going to mark that, and then I'm going to cut the LED strip to size. So the next thing to do is to attach the new polarization layer onto the back of the glass. Now, as I demoed earlier on, depending on the orientation of this will depend on sort of colours you get on the display. So if I just offer this up to the back there, you can see that it's kind of dark in that orientation, and it gets lighter, and then it darkens again. I'm not sure which way around I've got this. These are self-adhesive. There's a protective layer on there, so when I peel it back, it's only going to stick on the one way. I'm not sure looking at it which side's the self-adhesive layer, so I'm just going to have to live with whatever colour I get, I think, if I decide to go horizontally. If I go vertically, I need to cut maybe 1, possibly 3 parts to get it there. So I think I'll sacrifice one of these just to peel it back and see which side's which. Let me just do that now. So I did actually, I've got a bag of them here. So I think this is the one I'd peeled. Yes, it is. This is the one I'd peeled back before. There, so that's the sticky side there. And if I bring it up to the back, yeah, okay, I think I can live horizontally. So let me get a new sheet and stick it onto the back of this. I've already cleaned the back of this with a nice dry rag, so it should be good to go. Actually, looking a little bit closer at this LCD glass, I'm not so sure there isn't a polarization layer already on it, because there's definitely something stuck to this side of the glass here, which is the back side, where I was about to stick this new layer. Okay, that's the polarization sheets added to the back of the glass. There's a couple of bubbles in it, but don't know how they'll show up, but I'm just going to have to live with that, I think. So got 2 bits, one long strip and one short strip at the end there. So next thing, assembly. So first things first, I'll just give it a little clean. There we go. And get the orientation right. This is the right hand side. The LCD is kind of marked, so I can see that. And let's get the zebra strips in place first. The right way round? No. Helps if I'm the right way round. There we go. Oops. That's it together. Now the original clips are not going to work, oops. So I think I might just have to rely on it being clamped into the back of the actual display plastic work there to hold it together, because obviously I don't want to glue anything, and I've got access to the anode and cathode of the LEDs on the back there, so that's okay. So the big question is, does it work? So let me just reposition the camera and let's see if I can bolt it back into place. Okay, I hope you can see that. It's a little bit dark in this original LCD's in the place there, but I don't want to unplug it just yet. But you can see that's the new assembly in place. There is a little bit of a gap top and bottom, which I need to fill, because the plastic clamps that held the original LCD assembly together make the whole assembly just that little bit wider that way, so that it can actually sit nicely in there. But without them in place, I kind of got a gap top and bottom, so I need to really put something down top and bottom to keep the zebra strips in place, you know, kind of doing what that was doing. But I think I'll just leave this now. And of course the whole assembly's sitting higher than it was before, so now the plastic mounting arrangement doesn't sit down on its bit where the screw goes into, so I'm going to have to make up a couple of little spacers there just to make up that gap there. So I'll go away and do that now, and I think once I get that screwed and held in place, I think that might be enough for a test. Actually, I took it apart again. What I went and did, it was a bit fiddly to put together, so I've actually gone ahead and use some Kapton tape just to hold it together there. I've not intruded on the display, just down the edges there. 4 little bits just round over the zebra strips, and it actually holds it in place. And actually the LED strip can come in and out, so we'll try that now then. So let's get the orientation right. That's the way around it is. Let's put it. In fact, I can probably power it up without putting it in place actually. I think that'd be a great idea. So let me just reorientate again. Right, got a little bit of a fail here. I've not got enough pressure on the glass and the PCB for the zebra strips to make contact, so I'm going to have to come up with something else there. The other thing is the polarization sheet that I put in doesn't really work. If I was pressing the LCD, it was lighting up some of the segments, but not really enough, so I don't think that polarization layer that I've put in is working good. However, I did have this glass that I showed earlier on, and it came with a sheet, a transflective sheet on the back, which I peeled off, but it kind of got wrinkly in the process. Well, I've gone ahead and cut that one in half, and it's just about the right width that I could reuse it on this here. But of course, it's a little bit dirty where the the glue when it's gone all sticky and grubby there. So I think I'm going to try some alcohol just to clean it up, and maybe I can reuse these instead of the ones that I put on the back of the glass. So let me go and do that now. Right, here we go. That's it stuck on the back there, that 2 old bits. It's looking okay, it needs a little bit of a wipe down. Not sure what it's going to look like, especially with the line down there, but we'll just have to wait and see. So let me put it back together now. We're getting closer. Still got problems with the zebra strip though, but you can sort of see it's I'm pressing buttons here, hold on. I'm getting closer. The zebra strips are still a bit of a pain, still not getting the pressure that I need right across the whole length of it, but if I press it you can sort of see numbers there, and if I put on the backlighting it does actually illuminate up, but I'm still not right with the backlighting. The LCD's got to be in the right position horizontally because of the fine pitch of the contacts right along the glass there, but I think that's going to work. I just need to find some way of clamping the glass to the PCB in much the same way that these original U-shaped clamps worked when it was on the original display. So let me play about with that, see if I can come up with some idea. Let me turn it off for a minute. Maybe I can clamp it from the back, pressing down against the PCB. Nah, not quite sure about that. I've got some Kapton tape that I put on just to try and hold it. I was pressing down with it as I folded the Kapton tape over, but it's not enough pressure to get a good contact there. And it's not the LCD, because it's actually quite loose in the gap between the LCD. So it's definitely the zebra strips themselves that need to be clamped that little bit tighter. So let me go away and see if I can come up with an idea for that. Right. An hour later, well, an hour and a half later, farfing around trying to find out a way to clamp the zebra strips, and I come up with this idea. I've got some sheet steel here, very, very thin stuff, and I cut it and bent it over into a U-shaped and put 6 pieces, just the right width, just to clamp and squeeze the glass down onto the PCB, and it's working. We've got a display there. I hope you can see that. So let's stick in the backlighting and see what happens. Switch it off at the moment. I'll just do this now. Where's my backlight? Oh, it's in. Right, just connect it up then. I think that was the anode. I think that was the cathode. Switch it on. No, obviously not. Right, let's switch it on. And there we go. A backlit HP3457A LCD. You can still see a bit of a gap between the tape there, and the backlighting's not really long enough. I should have made it a little bit longer, but I think it'll be okay. So let's mount it up onto the front panel of the unit and see what it looks like. And there we go. It's inserted. I haven't screwed it in yet, but it's laid in, and I don't think it's too bad. Of course, it's not exactly professional looking, especially with a little gap there, but I think it's the brightness is okay. Of course, that's adjustable. I've just got it hooked up to a power supply. It's drawing about 90 milliamps at 5 volts, but I'm going to go and hook that up internally to probably the unregulated feed to the 5 volt regulator on the CPU board there, and that should be it. So I'll zoom in a little bit here, and there we go, and the contrast is pretty good. Yeah, I'm liking that. Well, I just went ahead and just tied it to the 5 volt supply. We'll see how hot the regulator gets, because I mean it is drawing 90 milliamps more than normal, but it's always run pretty cold, that regulator, so I presume it's going to be okay. But I'll leave it running with the top off for a while. You can see my little wiring loom going away up to the display there, and I've got little loops just so I've got a bit of flexibility for moving it around. So I'll just I'll turn it off actually and turn it round, and we can have a look at the back end. And there you can see the rear of the LCD there. The clamps actually help in a way because it makes up that space top and bottom of the LCD that I pointed out earlier on, so that ain't too bad. And of course, with the two screws at the end still holding the assembly in place, it's keeping the clips in place as well. And one thing I did have to be careful of when mounting the clips is they can only just go onto the edge of the PCB and no more. Otherwise, if they go too far, they'll short out the pins on the LCD drive there. So I've made sure that they're okay there, and just that little bit of pressure, it wasn't much, it's just enough to get the zebra strips to make a good contact there, so I'm quite happy with that. So that's it, not too bad, quite happy with that. The right hand end of the LCD there is not too bad. You don't really see the edge or the end of the backlighting module, so quite happy with that. So thanks for watching.